need traumatic cinematic, bitches.
Check us out, traumaticcinematic.com. Hi, hello, and welcome everybody to a new little addition to the Traumatic Cinematic family. This is the TCEvents podcast. There is just too much amazing things going on out there in the world, folks, for us to discuss a movie every week. We came together here tonight to talk about something that's a little bit more relevant for today or tomorrow or yesterday. I am Mugumbo. With me, like always, on the Traumatic Cinematic Show is Mr. Mike Whitcliffe and Mr. David DeMoss.
Hi.
Hello, all you fine people.
Now, folks, this is been a pretty interesting week, and we're going into the weekend. This will be airing on this weekend. Last weekend, we had the new Doctor Who episode came out. We also had the season finale of The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones
season premiere.
What a fucking weekend of entertainment, right? So
no shit.
If that wasn't exciting enough, this weekend we have been blessed or cursed, some might say, with the remake of The Evil Dead.
Because Dave hates everything.
No.
I'm actually really excited for this this Evil Dead movie.
You see
But
where
he
we
just
are.
said Walking Dead a minute ago. Shut up, Dave.
We're on a
everything
landscape.
I've seen looks fantastic. One of my favorite things that I read about this movie so far is that they couldn't. People keep asking them how anyone would ever stack up to Bruce Campbell as Ash. How do you put somebody in the role of Ash and have them live up to Bruce Campbell? And they said, easy. We didn't put Ash in.
You put a hermaphrodite in the place.
No, they didn't put Ash in the movie.
What?
There is no Ash in the movie.
Then what? Then what is it? Is it just the big bads from Evil Dead? Then it's just the bad witch.
There's still five people that go to a cabin in the woods.
Who worked at S-Mart?
It's still 5 people that go to a cabin in the woods. There's still bad things that happen. They've decided to be a horror movie the way Evil Dead originally was before it was remade as Evil Dead 2 and a lot funnier. Now, I love Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, don't get me wrong. But I love the idea that they've gone back and they've made a true horror movie based on the concepts around Evil Dead and just made it a true horror movie. Now, I have seen a couple things that have said it's torture porn, which I don't know. A lot of people are tossing that phrase out.
Who doesn't enjoy a little bit of torture porn nowadays? I mean, really.
Well, that phrase is getting tossed around a lot, too, so I don't know how accurate it is. But I'm going to go see it this weekend. While I'm not going to the G.I. Joe convention, I'm going there tomorrow with the guy from the Robots PJs podcast, and that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Also, with Engineer Nerd from the Action Figure Blues podcast.
Nice. Oh, some shout-outs there, too.
Well, we try.
Yes, we try our best. So, I've always been more of an Evil Dead, an Army of Darkness kind of guy. I like the humor, and I really think, when I think Bruce Campbell, I think of the Army of Darkness.
That was
Bruce.
The one that most people saw first.
Well, no, I didn't
know
see
it was
first,
for me. I saw Army of Darkness and then had to go back and watch Evil Dead, and then I spent 4 or 5 years trying to find a copy of Evil Dead. I saw Army of Darkness, then Evil Dead 2, and then I spent forever trying to find Evil Dead. And then they finally re-released it on VHS, and I bought it. And yes, it was. I did just say VHS.
Okay, that's interesting, because I saw them in order. And I think, Magumbo, what did you saw Army of Darkness first, right?
I saw Evil Dead 2 first, and then I saw Army of Darkness. But I at that point I had no idea that they went together. Actually, and Mike will be familiar with this. Over on Washington Street, there was a dollar theater. It was kind of like the ghetto theater where it was okay to yell at the screen, which was awesomeness. And it was cheap. It was like $1. but that's where I saw Army of Darkness for the first time.
Oh hell! All right, we got one out here that's only $3.
But
I know
at that point, I didn't really put the two together. Like I didn't really, I wasn't a movie cinephile like I am now.
Well, and I was fairly sheltered when I was a kid. It wasn't until, early 90s when I was 13, 14 that I finally got to see some of the cool stuff that everybody had been always talking about. So that's why when Army of Darkness came out in 93, I think it was 93, it was right around that time, that's why it was the first thing I saw.
Okay, I think I got another thing, too. I had no cool people to talk about things like that. So for me, I lucked out. I just happened to have a video store near my house that had all of these, like all three of them. And and the weird thing though was the two Evil Deads were in the horror shelf as they should have been, whereas Army of Darkness was relegated to
action adventure. Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, it was just action because this was in the days before they split action off into all of these various and sundry other things. There was no separate martial arts thing, no separate sci-fi thing. It was just all action.
Right.
And that's and boom, it was action, drama, comedy, horror.
And all the good video stores had the special room in the back.
Well, yeah, and mine wasn't that good. But
I wasn't allowed to go into that room.
Oh, well, nor was I. But that's how you knew you were in a quality video store. The horror, well, honestly, the horror selection is probably a little better tended to in a store with a good selection of porn than, say, a non.
Are you saying people like horror with their porn?
Yeah, I'm saying, yeah.
There does seem to be some correlation there, doesn't there?
Yeah, well, it's the more alternative thought process, possibly, that you could enjoy.
By the way, speaking not so much of porn, but more of horror, because I like that transition, just as an FYI for anybody who happens to be listening to us from the Indiana area, because we're starting to get, we've got a few people that listen to us locally here, I'm sure.
Correct.
Sammy Terry's going to be at the Horror Underground weekend in Seymour, April 13th and 14th.
Yes, and I
will be there selling stuff.
Actually, you're going to be there?
Well, yeah, I'll be there.
I had discussed it with Terrence, and we had.
You're going up there too?
Well, no. I thought about getting a table or doing a table there, do a live podcast at the show. But I wasn't sure, and we weren't quite ready for that step. So that is in the future. But yes, that is cool, though. Seymour, Indiana.
So, yeah, next weekend, come see Sammy Terry and say hi to me.
Excellent.
I'll sell you stuff that has his face on it.
Sweet. And movies that have his face in them.
I just said stuff, so yeah.
There was a kind of a tragic event that happened this week, folks. Probably, I would say, the most famous film critic to date.
I'd say that's fair.
I would say when I think film critics, I think Siskel and Ebert. 2 thumbs up, right?
Yep.
And the last half of the duo passed away just the other day here.
Yeah, I have to admit though, the sheer volume of people putting up cartoons that show Siskel saving him his seat in the aisle, I'm like, come on, guys, that's a little maudlin, isn't it?
I don't know. It's kind of heartwarming. It's like he's like, hey, this is. I mean, would that be heaven for you, sitting in the theater, enjoying
a
good film?
You forget this is America, where you can never be too maudlin or too hokey.
It's not too hipster. Is it not too hipster for you? Is it, Mike?
No, I am genuinely upset that he died. I honestly didn't expect to be as affected by it as I was. It really surprised me that I cared that much that he'd passed away. But which is nothing against the guy. It just didn't occur to me that was that important. But ultimately, it kind of is.
I consider him.
It hit me kind of hard the other afternoon. Yeah.
Yeah, I consider him the man most directly responsible for shows like this being able to exist.
Well, he kind of is.
It didn't matter what your opinion was. It was the fact of having your own opinion. And
yeah.
And sometimes just because he said he hates a movie makes you want to see it even more.
Absolutely. I disagree with him so often.
Oh, God, yes.
But at the end of the day, he told stories about movies and told people what he thought, and it made you think about a movie.
And he made that into its own. And he showed everyone that in its of itself could be its own source of entertainment. And that's a thought that hadn't occurred to people on just the printed page. But you get them on TV, and you see that critics are just human beings, who they slouch in their chairs and are not particularly trained at public speaking, especially in the early
I would argue with you that
days.
critics are humans, but
Well, when you
But look at them.
when
You
he
can
was-
see them. It's on TV. It must be
when
true.
he was hit with the Salvatore and the thyroid cancer, I do believe is what it was. And they took his jaw and a bunch of his throat or neck or whatever.
It was uncool.
Yeah, very uncool. But he kept writing, he kept reviewing, he kept sharing not only his opinion on films, this, that, or another, but on life and different insights into things and through experience that hopefully none of us ever have to go through or anyone else.
Hey, are we trying to keep our mini podcast family friendly?
No,
We've
not
already
really.
passed that mark.
I just wanted to make sure before I just fuck cancer.
Indeed.
Right in the
No,
ear.
I even think on a family-friendly a podcast that I mean, even the most holiest person would say "fuck cancer." You know,
Right in
Especially-
the ear, absolutely.
Especially thyroid
to
cancer.
hear
We have-
the new Pope Jose say, he's like, "Oh, fuck cancer, man." Like that'd be cool.
That'd be very cool.
Yeah.
That would get
Sure,
much
people would
brownie
get freaked
points.
out, but maybe we
Yeah,
could
true.
scare Catholics out of this world, cancer out of this world. I mean, anyway,
Freudian
let's not
slip
even get into
there.
that. All right, next on the chopping block here, Walking Dead finale. I'd say that's as current of an event as anything going on.
Fuck these zombies. I'm not done
How
with
much?
either.
How much do we want to talk about this kind of stuff? Because some people may not have seen it yet.
Well, I mean, it doesn't. It's been a week afterwards. I mean,
come on.
this is the warning. The show's we're 3/4 of the way through it. What's your impression? Were you shocked? Were you surprised? Is that what you expected? Is that what you wanted? Did you want
was
more?
surprised.
Did you want? I felt like
Do we want to say the big thing that happens at the end of the episode?
Yes. Spoiler alert! If you haven't seen The Walking Dead, you might want to go fucking watch it. Come back, but yes.
Okay, so
we
the big
passed
thing at the end of the
family-friendly
episode
right there.
is that Andrea dies.
She's one dead bitch.
That really did surprise me because in the comics, she's still alive. And in the comics, Glenn isn't. Glenn actually died just recently in the comics, which, I just spoiled comics for some people, but oh well.
Well,
But
but that's
Any
because
good
just like
adaptation is gonna depart
Daryl
from
was
source material.
Daryl and Merle weren't even in the comics, right?
They don't even exist in the comics
So
now.
and everyone's all worried that they were going to kill Daryl off. I don't think there's any way they could possibly kill. There would be riots until
There would.
until what's his name decides that he doesn't want to be on anymore.
I did see one that's all those internet memes that have people like to modify the pictures.
Yeah, from
if
Pandorum
Daryl
or-
dies, we riot.
Oh right,
I saw one that said, "If Glenn dies, we will be mildly annoyed."
yeah.
I'm like, come on, the dude's badass.
He's become quite the hero. I mean, in his own right, like he's grown much
and
as a character.
that arc is actually pretty accurate to the comic too.
There really is. I'm very impressed with what they've done. I got very discouraged on the season last year, and or on the series last year because of it just got so slow, and I appreciate it now because what it was developing then is even more powerful now, right?
Overall, I really enjoy the series.
And
Because
Dave, you haven't.
while it does have its
Dave, you haven't
issues-
watched it, have you?
You can tell, can't you, from my overwhelming
while
silence?
while it does have its issues,
I'm so sick of zombies, you have no idea. But go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
well, but you have to remember that zombies weren't even a thing anymore until Kirkman started putting out Walking Dead, the comic book. And then other people started going, oh, wait, this is really good, and people started buying it. And then more people started doing zombie comics. And then the people that do zombie comics started going to a zombie movie. Because, suddenly zombies were popular, so somebody goes, let's put out a zombie movie. So,
I don't know about weren't much of a thing.
They weren't. As somebody who was working in a comic shop at the time that Walking Dead came out, when it first started, I started at the comic shop right about the time issue 8 hit the stands.
Oh, okay. In comics, I'll give you. No problem. I'm thinking of it.
But
in,
my
like,
point is
greater
that at
culture.
that time, I was around, just that part of pop culture when Walking Dead